And we're live. I tried to
it switches
siphon
over hops
gas
in like an accord.
like 2 weeks ago. Siphoning gas really sucks. Like I
What
bet
did you siphon
Kyle's
gas
done it.
out of?
You siphon gas?
Yeah, well,
Not to steal it. He's doing some sort of farm activity, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, I have a paramotor, and I wanted to measure the gas tank, like to look at it visually. Didn't have like indications as to how much fuel there was. So the idea was to empty it, put in like 2 liters, mark it, 2 liters, mark it, etc. But you got to empty it first. And oh my God, it sucks so much to siphon that gas out. Nope.
Doesn't it have a like a plug you could take out, like by the fuel filter or something, and just drain it that way?
No. What I eventually did is disabled it and turned it up, like removed it from its little area where it belongs and held it upside down. But my plan A was just to siphon it. I had like some aquarium hose laying around or something, and I suck on it, and oh my, the fumes are awful. I don't know what I would do in a zombie situation.
Fumes? Were you inhaling?
How do you siphon gas?
All right,
You
you
sucked
suck.
on it.
You suck
Yeah,
with
you
your
suck.
mouth, not with your lungs.
I had to
It's
pull a
it's-
lot more gas
You
than that.
draw upon it succulently.
You do it like a cigar, not a cigarette.
I'm sure there's a technique, but it was hard, and I knew that. I'm like, all right, like first I'm like just get like a mouthful and
A mouthful.
of
You
suck.
were so close to being featured on the Darwin Awards
Oh,
of just
dude.
Ready, just and
I'm
you
still
just,
going
just
on
a
this.
huge flood
Dead.
of gasoline immediately in your lungs.
So I took a
what
mouthful,
would the death be called?
and the the gas did not even
Hot
like exit the top of the tank. Like you couldn't tell that I had made any progress.
Gas
And I had to suck this thing up like 18 inches before it'll like, siphon, do what a siphon does and get lower than the gas. And so it's like, well, clearly just doing like the cigar thing, like I wasn't making any progress, and you couldn't even see what little progress I hypothetically made. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take a deep like inhale on this tube and see how it goes. And my lungs were filled with gas vapor. It was a problem for like 30 minutes. I'm outside like trying to replace gas vapor, which you can't breathe. I'm my lungs are filled with something that humans have no use for. It wasn't like there was oxygen and stuff like working in there.
It's a very peculiar and terrifying feeling when your lungs are full of something that is not oxygen.
Yeah,
right.
There's only one thing your lungs should be.
Calling the hospital. Well, I mean, look,
Well,
I'm
there's a
not
whole bunch of
too
shit.
much on
but-
you because nobody's a professional siphoner. Nobody's like, oh, I've siphoned over 300 times. Like, it's something you've done 4 times in your life. If you
do it a
you're gonna
lot.
die.
Yeah.
Did you consider calling the hospital at any point during the third? Because everybody has like an injury where it's like, hey, if this thing doesn't improve, and in your head you just have like a clock, and you're like, okay, I'm going to give this 7 minutes to stop bleeding, or else I'm calling a hospital. Did you consider calling a hospital or a paramedic at any time during that half hour?
It was more like a doctor. Like I'm like, how permanent is this damage? Because it was only like 60 seconds or so before my lungs are working right if I don't breathe deeply. Like it's like, all right. So I'm more or less getting oxygen into my red blood cells, but nope, not 100% yet. How
You shouldn't siphon anymore.
How much have
I'm
I
not
fucked
sure
up
what
my
went wrong.
lungs?
But there definitely is a technique for it, and like there are people who are better at it than I am, and I've seen them do it, and it's just.
If you
I've
take
done it
a-
on jet
if you take a
skis.
funnel, if you take a funnel and you stick it in there, and then you get a plunger and you plunge the funnel. I just made that up right now, but it'll probably work,
I
right?
doubt it.
No, because you lose the suction every time you,
It would
and you
fall
have to keep a
down.
constant suction, or the gas is just going to return to the bottom of the hose.
I
So you
feel-
Not if
need
you have one of
constant
those
suction.
gigantic plungers, like when
You
you
have-
go to someone's house
You would
and
need
you
a
see the
plunger
normal
so
plunger.
big and a
Have you
funnel so
seen
big
the
that in one, you got all that volume to come down the hose. You'd have to do it in one pump. If it takes 2 pumps, then between pumps, the gasoline will return to the bottom of the hose.
Let me put
you
this
ever
out
judged
there.
someone
Imagine a
based on the
straw that's 24 inches long. Like that's about how much you have to move it before you can do the rest. And if it were a car, it'd be like 4 feet long. Like it'd be at the bottom of a gas tank. Just to suck through like a crazy straw might be 2 sucks. To do.
Well, I put my thumb on the end between sucks, like if I or you lose it. But to try to do, I think maybe you tried to do it all at once, and that is a task. That's a bridge too far, as they say. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
but you sort of suck, and pinch it off, or put your thumb on it, and then go some more, because once it comes over the top and starts flowing down, you're good.
Right. I've done it with the jet ski, but I was just really unsuccessful with the paramotor. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm glad you didn't asphyxiate on gasoline. That would have been the most horrible way to die, paramotoring.
Yeah, right. Of all the ways to die from a paramotor, it's sucking fuel.
Yeah, Taylor. I think I've got one of these. It doubles as a penis enlargement tool. That power plunger you've got there.
That's where my mind's going as well. Is it's like, well, if you can suck gasoline out of a Hummer, maybe it can provide some sort of personal benefit. I was also thinking, if like for some reason we don't have this technology, and I think part of it is just pride, where I'm sure that a lot of people who are siphoning gas could find something technological to help them with it. But I think part of it is just a pride thing. Like, no, I'm just going to use my mouth. You know,
like I wanted to do I wanted to do it the redneck way, because I know I've had fish tanks, and there's all sorts of different tools to help you like drain water from a fish tank. I know these things exist. I think I saw a pump at like a AutoZone or something like that that's for this, but all I had was some aquarium tubing and ingenuity, and I thought I'd get it done. But it turns out I only had aquarium tubing.
Yeah, the ingenuity was woefully underdivided.
Yeah, I thought I had that, but it wasn't there.
I bet you the most people died siphoning gas. I remember my dad telling me a story. He didn't. I think he tried to siphon gas one time, but it was for like a noble cause. But a lot of people were siphoning gas during the gas crisis when Jimmy Carter was president, and you could only get gas on like a certain number of days. So people just go around to cars and just siphon gas out of it because that was easier than having to wait for the right day to go get gas.
They would steal from other cars, you're saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise, if you're on like an odd number day, or you can only get gas on a Monday, then not only are you going to have to make sure you have enough gas to get to Monday, then you have to wait in line with all the other Monday gassers for like an hour. So if you know how to siphon gas, just steal the other people's gas.
That's the way some people handle things. Yeah, just steal from others. But yeah, that's a skill that I've never practiced. But based on watching like Home Alone, it can't be that hard.
No, Kevin McAllister knows how to siphon some gas. That kid.
I just remembered how my dad siphons gas.
Go on.
This is the fucking trick right here. No, well, he kind of does, but it's not a tool made for this. So what you do, and it doesn't matter what you're getting the gas out of, whether it's a car or a gas can, you put your tube down into the container, take a rag or something, and get an airtight seal around the tube and the container's mouth, okay? It doesn't have to be like a vacuum, but it needs to keep most of the pressure. Then you take an air hose, like a air tool that sprays. You insert pressure into the container, instantly siphons itself.
I had another idea that might work. So, and Kyle, by the way, that sounds like it would totally work. That's a great idea. Here's mine. I didn't think of it at the time. What if you put a lot of tube into the gas, right? So now, like, it's all filled up through the top. You put your thumb on it, and then you pull it out. And you should be pulling out tube with gas in it to where it might siphon, right? So you just sort of sink, I'll call it 3 feet worth of tube in the gas, let it all fill up. Hopefully that works. You put it in right. And then you could just pull out with your thumb on it and let it drain.
I see exactly what you're saying here. I'm wondering if the viscosity of gasoline differs enough from water to make that a problem. But I like the idea a lot, and I think it would work.
Yeah,
but I see exactly what you're saying. It's like a straw, like kids will take a straw, put it in their drink, put their thumb on the top, and then blow the drink at you because they're cunts.
If the movie Die Hard with a Vengeance was 6 hours long, this would have been one of the challenges that Jeremy Irons had for John McClane and Samuel L. Jackson.
Hello, Mr. McClane. I love that movie. Right? Do you remember the one with the briefcase? Do you remember what he had to do? He had to get exactly 4 gallons of water into the 5-gallon jug. Yeah.
And a 5-gallon jug and a 3-gallon jug. And every time I watch the movie, I almost get how they did it, but I'm never totally on board with it.
I got this one down. You got your 5-gallon container on the scale there. What you're going to do, you fill up your 3-gallon container, dump it into the 5-gallon container, fill it up all the way again, dump it into the 5-gallon container. You now have exactly 1 gallon remaining in this 3-gallon container. You empty out your 5-gallon scale can, we'll call it, pour that remaining 1 gallon into it. You now have acquired 1 gallon using a 3-gallon and a 5-gallon bucket. Now you just fill up the 3 again, pour it in there. 3 plus 1 is 4. You got 4 gallons of the 5-gallon thing. You put it on the scale, and the bomb doesn't go off.
Wait,
in my world, the bomb already went off.
Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yeah, it's Samuel L. Jackson, and I like that one a lot. Die Hard 2 is fucking horseshit.
How did he
Who's
get
gonna
to
do
1
that
gallon
under
to start
pressure?
with?
You know what everybody would actually do under pressure is be like spilling a bunch of water at the top and being like, that looks about right. What's a gallon? Like this big. Oh fuck! Like you'd be
If
having
we have a
panic attack.
5-gallon measuring, couldn't we just fill it 80% and guesstimate it?
If you want to
No,
explode,
because
yes, you could. But if you wanted
it was-
exact, you fill the
it was
3
1
up
ounce.
twice, and you're left with 1.
Yeah, you had to go if you were more than 1 ounce above or below, then the bomb goes off.
Then the game is over, Mr. McClane.
Stupid way to stop a bomb.
We'll see.
Why would you give him the tools to do it?
I'll tell you why. It's funny you ask. You might think, oh, what a stupid plot point. No, the whole thing is he's taking up John McClane's time so that he can't stop him from robbing the Fed or the World Trade Center. He's taking all the gold out of the basement. They're loading it up into the dump trucks, and he doesn't want McClane on that job. So he's running him all over the town. One point, he's wearing this big sandwich board that says "I hate niggers," and he's in Harlem. And he's wearing his underwear and this sandwich board, and he's just standing there scared shitless. And that's how he gets partnered up with Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson comes and saves him from the local guys that were about to fucking kill his ass. And so Jeremy Irons says, you have entered yourself into the game, Mr. Jackson. That's not his character name, of course. So he makes him partner up with John McClane and go through his bullshit of bombs in schools so that he can rob all the gold. That's a great movie.
And he's torturing him because he's Hans Gruber's brother, which is my favorite part of the movie is when they're sitting in the van and there's an FBI guy all the way in the back and he's not saying anything. Then he finally perks up and he's like, "The name Gruber mean anything to you, Mr. McClane?" And in Mr. McClane's head, he remembers dropping Hans Gruber off the building. And what he says in the best John McClane ways, he's like, "Rings a bell." Yeah.
Yeah, that guy I threw up the top of the Nakatomi Tower a few years back. Yeah, I did that. Okay, yeah, kind of.
So good.
Great movie. Second one is shit, though. It's just a
I
real
love
travesty.
the second one, too. I'll tell you why, too. Because if, the last 2 Die Hard movies, we've gotten Bruce Willis in a bad action movie. We haven't gotten John McClane. Whatever you want to say about Die Hard 2, that's John McClane in the movie. It's not Bruce Willis trying to be cool still. It is the actual John McClane in an action movie, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I just think the plot stinks, and it's just a rehash of the first one. I just wish they'd written a better story. I like his acting. I like John McClane character. I just don't like what he's doing in the second one. But the first one is just so killer, and the third one is great. And then, like you said, afterwards they start making him some sort of jumping motorcycles into helicopters and shit, as Michael Scott pointed out. It's just a superhero now.
Yeah, it's not as fun.